Hello everyone. Our group is doing Muslim learners in Utah. So first of all, we figured we should talk about what Islam is. And Islam is a religion and a Muslim is a person that practices Islam. So religion is Islam and a person is Muslim. And so there are five pillars or like basics of Islam. The first one is the profession of faith. The phrase, there is no God but God and Muhammad is the messenger of God, is frequently recited by Muslims and it's featured in their scripture, the Quran. It's also featured in much of the architecture for like the mosques that Islam's used to pray. And the next one is prayer. Muslims pray 5 times a day facing Mecca, which is Islam's holy city. And they often recite the opening chapter of the Quran. And so the prayer can be done alone or in a mosque with other people. And it's often done on a small rug or mat. And oftentimes the men will be the ones that get together at noon on Fridays for prayer in a mosque. And women can attend, but they're not obligated to the same way that the men are. Next up is alms, which is essentially like a tithing. Donations to those in need, and the wealthier Muslims will often build hospitals, schools, mosques, etc. with those donations. Next up is fasting. There's the month-long fast during Ramadan. It is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. And so the Quran was revealed during Ramadan. And as well as fasting from food, Muslims will often fast from negative thoughts or jealousy, even music and TV, but that's not everyone. And then next up is pilgrimage. So if people have the means, such as like money, health, time, to visit Saudi Arabia and visit Mecca, then they are expected to and to go to the mosque and pray in the mosque there. And then also I figured I should mention the head coverings worn by Muslim women. And in the Quran, it said that women should cover up, but it's kind of vague, so there's a bunch of different options, such as a burqa or hijab. And many women do choose to wear a head covering, but many women don't as well. It's really just their own personal choice, and it's a religious practice more than anything. It is the woman's choice to do so. And next up, we have Islam in Utah, specifically. Utah's first Muslims arrived as students. Tariq Karji came to Utah State University from Iraq and he stayed here, and he has been the longest continual Muslim resident within the state of Utah. And also there are many similarities between Islam and Mormonism. I'll go more into depth on one of the other slides about that, but despite like the major scriptural differences within Mormonism and Islam, there are lots of similarities as well. So for those reasons, many Utah-based Muslims find Utah a pleasant and safe place to live, which is very nice. And then I'll show you this video from some BYU students that talked with a restaurant owner.
Who is Ar-Rahman? Allah. Who is Al-Mannan? La ilaha illallah. Muhammadur Rasulullah. Muhammad is the messenger. Allah is our return. La ilaha illallah. Muhammadur Rasulullah. Muhammad is the messenger. Allah is our return.
We opened in 1998.
Okay.
So for a long time. We started off at the 9th and 9th Festival, and then demands were so high for food, we just decided to open up a restaurant.
Do you get like a lot of people that come through here like on a daily basis?
Yeah, lots of people.
Do you get like a good variety too?
Yeah, you do. All walks of life.
Okay, so we saw outside on the sign it says halal.
Halal just means that all the meat is hand slaughtered by another Muslim.
In order for it to be kosher to eat, that it's like it's blessed or something.
They say a verse out of the Quran before this while they're slaughtering the animal.
How do you feel, like you've been here a little while helping out, but being here in Salt Lake, how do you feel like the media has like portrayed the Muslim culture?
Locally, I think they've done a good job.
Okay.
Like local media. National media, I think we all know how that's being. I think that goes without saying, but I think local media has done a great job of connecting with us. And there was an incident after 9/11 here, which someone tried to burn our building down 2 days after, but ever since then, nothing, you know.
If you could tell the media the best way to portray this culture, or like what they're doing wrong, like what would it be? Or what they could do better?
It's a tough question. There's a lot they could do better. I mean, it seems like we've been portrayed as something we're not. I mean, that's a real tough question.
I have no doubt that we have no choice but to do exactly what I said until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on, because we have a problem in this country.
What would you tell Trump?
I tell him to chill out, and I think you can focus on a lot of other things. I mean, there are probably some bad people out there, but don't generalize us, put us in one category.
And I thought it was really interesting that he mentioned that local news is significantly better portraying Muslims than national news. That's something to note. Next up, more Muslims in Utah. There are about 60,000 Muslims in Utah as of now, and about 16 mosques. I've found varying information on that, but probably 16 mosques. That middle picture is from the Islamic Society in South Jordan, I believe, West Jordan. And so, to elaborate more on the similarities between Islam and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, there are many shared values of like not drinking alcohol, and then having like a conservative appearance outwardly, and then also kind of within the churches themselves, I guess. A high moral conduct, much of which is due to the scriptures that both religions use. Although they're different scriptures, the Quran compared to like the Bible or the Book of Mormon, they do have similar teachings in them. And then also both groups are very family oriented, and there is a tight-knit religious community. Mormonism, you have like family wards and then temples, and then also within Islam there are the mosques that are attended quite frequently. And because of these similarities, these groups can live in harmony side by side, but also not just similarities, but also like the celebration of the differences as well. And because of that, it has made Utah a comfortable place for Muslims to raise children and call home. And there are also many difficulties in moving to America for Muslims. The portrayal of America in the media, a lot of times in movies specifically, is very much not accurate for people outside of the US. They have this kind of skewed idea of what America is. And similarly, Islam is also misrepresented. Many Americans have a very, very skewed idea of what Islam is and what they believe. Islamophobia is widespread in America. Essentially, that is the hatred or fear of Muslim people, and the idea that Islam is equal to terrorism, which it is definitely not. This idea, this Islamophobia, is largely in part due to the September 11th attacks. And so Islam is a peaceful religion, so those that take part in any form of terrorism are misguided and the minority. They are not following the teachings of Islam if they are killing people, essentially. So much like this billboard says, "Hey ISIS, you suck," from actual Muslims, the Quran says life is sacred. So the teachings of Islam are not by any means the teachings of ISIS. And then also in moving to America, it can be difficult to learn a new language. Many Muslim countries that have lots of Muslim people there, their main language isn't essentially English. It could probably be like Farsi or Arabic. So it would be pretty essential to learn English in moving to America, considering many people don't know any language other than English here. So they'd have to learn it, basically, which would be really, really difficult. As well as assimilation, the idea that you essentially have to like become like the ideal American and kind of let go of your past culture, which shouldn't be true. And so they kind of have to learn to, I guess, assimilate to a certain extent, more acculturate to American life rather than letting go completely of their past. And then as well as just being a minority, especially in Utah, I think that would be difficult, but it's good to see that it's not as difficult as I anticipated it to be. Lots of Muslims enjoy Utah. There is this article titled "Report: Utah is the only state where GOP leaders haven't demonized Muslims since 2015." And so in this article, it basically says that many Republican leaders of different states have publicly like shamed Muslims or smeared them and basically called them things they aren't, and told their constituents that Muslims are like believing things that they don't believe. And that is a considerable factor as to why Islamophobia is so widespread. But Utah is actually different than those other states because the Republican leaders of the state typically will visit mosques and talk with the Muslim citizens, kind of get an idea of how they're doing in the state, how they can help to make it any more comfortable and open. And so I thought that was really nice to see that Utah is kind of stepping up to not become Islamophobic, I would say. So just to kind of elaborate on that, studies show that other states will frequently limit Muslim immigration or stall mosque building projects. Many of these leaders that I previously mentioned, they publicly denounce Muslim immigration to their cities or states. And Utah lawmakers, again, they will frequently visit the mosques and listen to Muslim concerns instead of saying rude things about them. Respectful approach to politicians and lawmakers keep Muslims safe in time of increased anti-Muslim crimes, which is why many Muslim people in Utah feel like it's such a nice, pleasant place to live. So here's some quotes from leaders. Senator Mike Lee said that the right to live and worship according to one's faith is a foundational freedom of the United States. Not only does this mean our government should not pass laws that infringe on a community's ability to worship and believe, but it obligates our leaders to build bridges between faith communities so that everyone feels protected. So, regardless of anyone's faith, he's saying that everyone has the right to practice whatever religion they want and to feel safe doing so. And then Mayor Ben McAdams said, as a state whose citizens have known religious persecution, we are sensitive to the need to respect and show tolerance for religious differences. Utah has many respected Muslim leaders, and I'm fortunate to be acquainted with some of them. We appreciate what they do, and we're a stronger community because of our diversity. And so many Muslim people in Utah, they are familiar with the history of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and kind of know the persecution that they went through in the beginnings of that religion, so they can kind of share similarities with feeling persecuted and feeling like people hate them because of their religion. So that's kind of another reason why they share similarities and can find something to relate to. And then Sharik Khan, a Utah resident Muslim, said, "This has been a great place to live. We have not felt the effects of Islamophobia here that my friends have felt in other places." So it's good to know it's not just talk that these leaders are saying, like, oh, we're doing such a good job. It's actually Muslim people have said, yes, it is working, this effort to make us feel more safe here. And some ideas we had to make Muslim students feel safe in the classroom, as well as just learning about Islam in general, is, first of all, to talk about it. It's not an inappropriate or taboo subject, or it shouldn't be. As we learned earlier in the class, religion can be discussed in classrooms for educational purposes. As long as no one's trying to indoctrinate someone into religion, it's totally fine to discuss different religions, and especially Islam when it's so prevalent in what we see in the news and has so much historical value. I think it'd be really important to talk about it in the class. And if there are any Muslim students in the class, it would be nice to allow them a time and place to pray if that's something they would want to do, because we learned earlier that praying is a very significant part of their religion, so allowing them, a proper time and place to do so would be beneficial. And just as a teacher, to quickly shut down any offensive remarks said, just to make sure that the classroom is a safe space and there's no room for any intolerance of people in the classroom. And also letting students ask questions. I feel like I at least didn't really know a lot about Islam, but I remember learning about it in 9th grade, and it was really nice to, ask questions and learn about it in a way that was beneficial to all the students. And also this video shows a really great way to teach students about Islam. It's a man taking his students to a mosque.
A Utah man who worked at World Trade One moved from New York shortly before the September 11th attacks.
Fox 13's Aaron Cox shows how he is helping students at a Utah school join those in the Islamic community in remembrance.
Allah. Friday is a day of prayer. And in today's congregation sits a group of students from a private school in Utah County.
So we wanted our students to be able to come and connect here and feel a part of this Muslim community because we're all connected.
Grant Beckwith is the head of the American Heritage School, but before his time in Utah, Grant had worked at the World Trade Center in World Trade I.
There's World Trade Center 1 and 2.
Grant had moved from New York to D.C. in the summer of 2001.
It was a very poignant and personal experience for me to watch those buildings coming down, thinking of my own friends and colleagues who were there.
Grant remembers mourning with his Muslim friends and family.
20 years later, it's still a difficult time to be a Muslim in America.
That's what brought Grant and a group of his students to prayer on Friday.
As they came in, you hear the call to prayer. And that was one of my favorite parts, is you hear a voice just singing that's like calling everyone in because it's the time to pray.
Whether you're sitting in pews or you're kneeling on the ground, then we're all worshiping the same God, and that we should be able to respect other people for the ways that they worship and and how they choose to worship.
It's really interesting to watch their eyes and their body language.
Awais Ahmed hopes to show students the beauty of his religion.
Right, let's show them our rich garden, our rich tradition. Instead of saying, hey, we're not about this, let's actually go ahead and show people what we're about.
We need to take advantage of some of these tragedies in our history to turn them into beauty.
In West Valley City, Aaron Cox, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And so to finish up, here's a quote from the Muslim American Seminar that says, "We've increased our sensitivity to women's studies, Native American studies, African American studies, and LGBTQ studies, making space for their voices in the conversations in our classrooms. It is now time to give the same space to Muslim studies." So it's important to talk about it in the classroom and make it a goal to not spread misinformation or hate and just allow students a safe place to learn. Thanks for watching.